What it is, my 10 Peace and Grease here, and today we're gonna ruffle a few feathers. That's okay. Done it before. More than likely we'll do it again. So to start the video off today, let me ask you a hypothetical question. Now, if you are familiar with the Braton Vandal, then you know that the way that you earn this weapon is through Elite Sanctuary Onslaught. Same goes for its secondary cousin, the Lato Vandal. You must run Elite Sanctuary Onslaught over and over and over again to earn it. Now, my hypothetical question is this. If you ran Elite Sanctuary Onslaught and you earn the Braton Vandal and you earn the Lato Vandal, but then 2 months from now, DE funnels the Braton and Lato Vandal into Baro's inventory. So now everybody and their dog can just walk up to Baro and get the Lato and Braton Vandal, whereas you had to grind for it. Now, if you were a little bit salty for that, I totally get it. In fact, I think that you would be justified. Let me ask you another hypothetical. What if this same exact thing happened with the Opticore Vandal? Now, the Opticore Vandal is an event weapon, and you must run 100 Thermia Fractures. So let's say, again, hypothetically, that you ran those 100 Thermia Fractures to earn your Opticore Vandal. But 2 months from now, DE funnels the Opticore Vandal into Baro's inventory. Again, if you were salty about it, hey, I completely understand, and I think you're justified with that. Now, what really prompted this video, ultimately, and I think most of you already know, but I'll clarify anyway, and that is when Baro showed up this weekend, he had in his inventory Primed Chamber. Now, Primed Chamber was a mod. It was an event-only mod, and DE promised for years to bring it back into the game, and that never happened. Well, I think back in 2017, they gave some away during TennoCon. I don't remember the exact year, but which is fine. But Primed Chamber was a very, very uber rare mod. And I think there was only like 50 or something like that in game total. So there weren't much, and they were selling for obscene amounts of plat because there were so few of them. Now, the reason I even asked those hypothetical questions was because, similarly, Primed Chamber was a event item, and it had been funneled into Baro's inventory. So now everybody and their dog can get it. Now, wait a minute. I know I'm going to get a bevy of, yeah, but it's 3,000 ducats. Not everybody can get that. Well, all right. Just a lot of people are making a bigger deal out of this than it really is. So let's do the math together. So in order for you to earn the 3,000 ducats to buy this mod from Baro, you can scrap 200 bronze prime parts. Now that sounds like a lot, and if you just look at that figure, 200 prime parts, that's a lot. It is. But hold on a second. You only need 47 to 67 silver prime parts, because those will range in 45 to 65 ducats, each. So 47 to 67 doesn't sound that bad, right? But it gets even better when you look at the gold prime parts. In that regard, you only need 30 gold prime parts to make 3,000 ducats. And you don't even need 3,000 ducats. You need 2,995. Obviously, I'm overestimating by 5 ducats, but you get the point. So a lot of people are making a bigger deal out of it. And I know newer players. In fact, I know 2 newer players to the game who each had 3,000 ducats. And they didn't know anything about Prime Chamber, had no clue what was coming. They just happened to be scrapping all the prime parts that they get that they don't need. And obviously they should have been saving some, but that's a topic for another day. The point is, even newer players had 3,000 ducats. So make a big deal out of it if you want to. The point is that this was an event item and it was shifted into Baro's inventory. Now, don't get me wrong. These types of items, these types of rewards need to be made available to newer players. There could be newer players coming into the game that won't be able to run Thermia Fractures, for an example. Like if Thermia Fracture events stopped, 2 months from now, then players coming into the game need a way to gain access to that Opticore Vandal for Thermias, right? Because they don't have the Thermia Fracture event anymore, so they got to be able to some way to get it. So, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's how it has to be. But before I forget, understand here that this video is not coming from a place of greed. I did not own Prime Chamber prior to Baro bringing it this weekend. And the only reason I bought one was for this video. So this is not me trying to be an elitist or trying to be greedy or anything like that. Understand that. I want to be clear. But as I was saying, the big question ultimately comes down to this. If all event rewards are eventually going to be shifted into Baro's inventory, then why bother running events? Why should DE even bother making events? In that case, let's just cut out the middleman, which is the event, and just put new stuff in Baro's inventory and call it done. No more events. Now, obviously, I don't want that. I mean, I want the events. But the point I'm making here is if you look at the Zylok, for example. Now, the Zylok is another event reward. And whether you love it or hate it or knew about it or not, the Zylok was an event reward that you got from rebuilding a relay. Now, I actually ended up using a bunch of resources in this event. I ended up rushing things a few times, which cost me plat in this event. Was I compensated for that? Nope. But that's where I got my Zylok. But now, people can just go and get it from Baro. Now, that's the conundrum right here. It would have been cheaper for me to not run the event and then just get it from Baro. It wouldn't have cost me any resources and it wouldn't have cost me any plat. But instead, I ran the event. See the problem? Economically, it would have been wiser for me just to say, I'm not doing this event and wait for it to go to Baro. That's a huge problem. So, this is a complex matter. How do you solve it? How do you make sure these items are available to newer players? But then how do you respect those players that ran the event? And I don't see any easy answer. The only idea that I can really come up with is, as an example, my Zylok was event earned. I ran that event. First of all, you need to compensate players, because if players are spending their resources in an event, but then you make that item available in Baro's inventory, what a slap in the face. Refund us our resources, for goodness sake. Right? Refund us the plat that we rushed up to get the event done, or, for certain things in the event done quicker. Compensate those players. Compensate us for that. Or else, like I've already said, it would have been better off economically for me just to skip the event and get it from Baro. Second, there needs to be some type of differentiation. My Zylok is an event-earned Zylok. So what I propose is making event-earned items unique in appearance. So it's still a Zylok, just like the Baro-bot Zylok, but this Baro-bot Zylok is more of a basic Zylok. It looks like this, right? But the event-earned Zylok would have a different kind of appearance, almost like an ephemera on it, to really differentiate this is an event-earned item. And the other thing, you can do this with mods as well. So let's say you have a player out there who has Prime Chamber, right? And they earned theirs in an event. You can put some sort of cool symbol on it, or some type of a cool glow or image on it to differentiate it from regular. The purchase, the Baro bot primed chamber, so that it's clear, oh, this is an event earned item. And if you wanted to buff it by like 2 or 3%, so the event earned gets 102 or 103% damage versus 100% for the Baro bot, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. But having these differentiations between these items, I think, is a step in the right direction. And this is what needed to be done with the login system. And I've said it before and I say it again, that I agree that the login system needed updated, it needed changed. And I 100% agree with that. But I've literally been logging into this game for years. Literal years. I made the commitment and I started logging in years ago. How do you show respect to those players who have been doing that, like myself? Because right now, we've had nothing except maybe a slap in the face. Furthermore, exclusive items, I've said it before and I'll say it again, exclusive items are a good thing. I took pride in my stuff like the Sigma and Octantis because I rightfully earned that before the login changes. My Syandana, my armor, my Zenith. I earned all these things before the login changes, right? But yet mine looks exactly like brand new players. Brand new player can be running around with the Sigma and Octantis, and here I am, somebody that used to take pride in that. And now it means nothing anymore. So there should have been differentiation on that as well. On players that have earned things before the login changes, it should have a unique appearance versus one with the new logins. Again, respecting those players that have been logging in for years. They've made that investment, that commitment. Respect that. So again, I think it's a really good discussion to have, and it's one that needs to be had, because the way that DE is going at this rate, events are going to be pointless. Like, oh, what? I have to use my resources on this event? Screw that. I'll just wait for it to be funneled into Baro and just buy it from them. There's literally going to be no point to do that. And, you know, again, the players have to be compensated as well. If you're going to radically change something, make players use their resources in rebuilding a relay, and then turn around and go, no, you can just get it from Baro and it wouldn't cost you any resources. That's a problem, because it means that your event was a complete and total waste of freaking time. So anyway, these are kind of my thoughts on the matter. It's something I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, but something that needs to be discussed, most certainly. But I want to hear from you guys and gals. What are your thoughts on the matter? Is it something that you've even really considered before until now? Do you have a solution? Let me know what your solution. You guys and gals always come up with some really great ideas. So let me hear from you, because I would love to hear from you. But anyway, until next time, peace and grease.